Hi, welcome back to the ANS Way. We are at Dorado Seaside Suites, and we thought in this video we would do a very similar video to what we've just done for the Secrets Akumal and share with you our thoughts and impressions of this resort. Having been at this resort twice before and also now having experienced TRS Yucatan and Secrets Akumal.
We've now been here a few days. I think we arrived 3 days ago, but it's our second morning here, and we thought we'd start off with our first impression. This time we arrived by a taxi, which was pretty confusing because they're so used to dropping people off from the airport. Booking a taxi from Secrets to here, which is 8 kilometers away, first it was $33. So
$33 to go, less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10-minute trip. When we arrived here, because this hotel actually has 3 hotels, it has Hidden Beach, Seaside Suites, and the Palms.
Yeah.
The Palms is the one that most people from the UK will know of because they use TUI and it's a TUI-run resort. So our taxi driver went to drop us off at the Palms. They then said you had to go somewhere else. He then got confused by driving up and down. It was a whole thing.
Did a little detour.
Yeah. Eventually we did arrive though. The first thing I noticed was how grand this place is compared to Secrets. It's on such a massive scale, not just the distances, but the buildings felt like they're 10 times larger than they needed to be.
On the Seaside Suite side, the main lobby is absolutely huge, really tall ceilings, probably the largest even in comparison if I think about Grand Palladium, which is also very large, but I don't think they have a building quite like what Seaside Suites have. However, on the Palm side, it's completely different. It's this tiny building, it's less extravagant as well.
Definitely. So once we had arrived there, the check-in was so quick. There was nobody there.
We decided to check in an hour earlier because we thought it was going to be busy checking in around check-in time, only because Secrets was very busy. Just as we were leaving, large groups of people were arriving at Secret. They told us they were at 96% occupancy.
And I believe them because I went to check the prices for the 5 days that we were there and it said they're sold out. You couldn't actually book via any of the booking sites.
So we then thought, oh, Dorado is going to be a similar situation where we might have to wait 30 minutes before we can actually check in. We might not get our room. Got there completely empty.
So it was a 5-10 minute affair at most, and then they pick up on a golf cart, which we mentioned in our other video. It's kind of nice in some ways. So having somebody grab all your luggage, you get in the golf cart, they take you around, tell you where everything is, how the place works, drop you off and take you into your room. That was great. However, it reminded us why we don't love the golf carts, which we'll get to later on.
In terms of the layout, there are really 2 main sections. And we mentioned at the very beginning that we checked in on the American side, the Dorado Seaside Suite. So that main lobby has its own bars and restaurants where you will find the Seaside Buffet, which has breakfast and dinner. There's an Asian restaurant. There is a really good mezcal cocktail bar, which we highly recommend going to. And connected to that building, you about 5 minutes, well, not really connected, you walk a 5-minute walk, there's the Nace bar.
5 minutes? Less
2
than
minutes.
2
minutes. Okay, 1 minute. Yeah, I add on extra time. But that's one main location. And then the second location is where the Seaside Palms is at. And that's where most of the UK people will be visiting. And that follows the stretch of the beach. And everything else that you need at this resort will be on that side. A
bit about the reason why we've come back here now for the 3rd time. As we said, because we were living in the UK, you buy this package from TUI. And TUI will put you in the Palm side. We even tried to upgrade once to the Seaside Suite side and we couldn't do that. You can only upgrade within the section that you're in. So we thought to ourselves, we've enjoyed it both times we've been here before. We wanted to see what it was all about on the American side. The allure of the grass is greener. It isn't, which we'll get into. It's definitely not greener on the other side. So we decided that we were going to do a 10-day trip here. We did 5 days in Secrets, which we've never done. And we thought we'd do 5 days on the Seaside Suites part of Dorado.
Which has always looked really nice to us, and I think part of it was the fact that that side has always looked really cool with the pool that you have. I don't know what you call it, a swim up pool, a little bit of a stretch of a pool right outside your room, which is innovative.
It's definitely innovative. I've not seen that before. All 7 floors of the building, every single room has a pool that's connected all the way along, so you can actually swim to any of your neighbours if you want, or walk. You don't have to. and it overlooks the ocean, which looks amazing.
Oh, it's really nice in that sense. And also, if you're on the ground floor, you are part of the swim up infinity pool. I believe it's an infinity
and you
pool.
can go straight out to the bar.
Which for lots of people, they love that because straight access to a bar and partying. And funny enough for us, when we used to come here before, that was always known as the party side where all the fun was happening. Clearly Americans are more fun than Europeans because we on our side like more serene tranquility.
They're more overt than Europeans, that's for sure. What were our first impressions when we arrived into our building and then our room? I think the first thing I thought was, we've made a mistake. We should have done El Dorado before Secrets. That was my very first feeling, like, oh no, we're gonna do another 5 days here. We should have stayed there, or we should have done that second. And I think the reason for that was the buildings feel dead. The vibe is completely, they did tell us it's a low occupancy that side. There's nothing really going on there. It's just a hotel building. The pool maybe had 4 or 5 people on arrival. And when you arrive into the building, it feels very dated, very old. So this allure of these glass pools outside every room is kind of the, what do they say? Makeup on a pig? I don't know the saying. Like, it looks great from the outside. Inside, I wasn't impressed, and then you walk into the room and I was less impressed, more so because the room's very sparse, even though it's potentially a little bit bigger.
So bizarre because you walk in and it was just so empty, and I don't think I've ever been in a room that has just felt very cold because they haven't. Very clinical, very cold.
Everything's worn out, so there's rust on things that are metal, there's chips out of everything. You can see the bed linen isn't the newest.
There are marks on the pillow.
The little sofa, bed, love sofa, whatever they're called, you can see is worn, and it just looks worn out and tired.
They started doing up the room and then gave up part way through.
Wow. So it was a little bit disappointing. However, the redeeming qualities are the outdoor pool, the fact that you are directly looking out to the ocean.
That's the closest we've ever been to the beach.
Yeah, and just, I mean, you're meters away or feet away for the Americans. And the bathroom was actually a lot nicer, or is a lot nicer.
There's aspects of it. The Secrets room was actually very, very nice. I can't remember, I probably said something in the last video that wasn't amazing, but I realized perspective, and we'll cover that in a different video, because what we've realized across this holiday is that your perspective changes over time. I may have said some comments about Secrets, but what that made me appreciate was just how nice the Secrets room was. That being said, with this room, the bathroom is nicer. I do prefer that the bed is round the corner, so you can't just see the door straight away.
And it's not really, for me, it's not about seeing the door. What they've done really well is they've isolated the rooms from the noise from the neighboring rooms and also the walkway. So if you go and watch our previous video, you'll notice we talked about the impact of somebody opening their door in another room because the rooms face each other.
In terms of our first impressions of the staff and greeters in general, the last time we were here, I would say we would have no complaints whatsoever. And in general, when you come to Mexico in any of the resorts, I would say the staff are super friendly. They make an effort to say hello, good evening, always. But I noticed a notable difference between here and Secrets Akumal. You think you'll never be that person that you think, oh no, of course, this is fine, this is great, but we definitely noticed that the service and the attentiveness of the staff at Secrets Akumal is on a different scale to here.
I would agree, and we are going to do a full comparison video, so we won't get into too much detail.
There are going to be people that watch this video that have been to El Dorado and will say that cannot be possible. The staff here are lovely. We are not saying that the staff aren't lovely, we're just saying the difference in the attentiveness. Like in Secrets, immediately as we go to the pool area, they're trying to find you a place to put out your towels, get your towels.
They'll call the waiters over, but we will get into the details of it. Just, we are comparing back to back. We spent 5 days, immediately come here, and that is something that we have noticed, and it's throughout the resort. It doesn't matter whether you're eating, being greeted, or getting in one of the golf carts. We've mentioned these a few times in our previous video for Secrets. We said how we've learned we don't actually like that. It's a really nice touch when you come here. You think, oh, this is amazing. I constantly jump in the golf cart. It's a frustration because it can be 5 to 15 minutes to wait for them, and then more people building up. There isn't really a queuing system, so people forget where they are. And then on the first evening, it rained torrentially. which then meant everybody wanted to get in a golf cart. So much like we anticipated, it is more of an annoyance than a feature for us. Fortunately, like we said, we're fairly fit and we like to walk sometimes, so we just walk everywhere. However, it can be 10-minute walk to get to the spa. It can be a 10-15-minute walk to get to this area, which is quite far. So it's just something to be aware of. Some people will see it as a feature, and especially if it's your first time in this, I kind of thought it was really exciting. And then you go, do I really want that? I want something that's a little bit more compact, a little bit easier to get around. So for us, a negative, I would say. Definitely. Next up is the app and activities. Most of the resorts that we've been to, in fact all of them now, have an app that you can download that help you with the activities, help you with getting around, a map.
Know which restaurants.
What times they open, and same here, they asked us to download the app. No problem, it took a couple of minutes. The internet here has been pretty good.
Very good.
Very good. However, the app is absolutely atrocious. It is one of, if not the worst application to navigate.
I don't know who they got to build that app.
It makes no sense. Maybe they gave it to a school and were like, here, you run this project of 8-year-olds. Because
if user-friendly
not at all. If 8-year-olds did this, amazing. They did an outstanding job. If somebody over the age of 21 created this, terrible job. That brings us on to the activities. Again, we're doing this as a comparison. The first 2 times we came here, and this was our second true resort holiday, because we'd been to the Dominican first. I thought we had such a great time. We felt like it was packed full of activities that we could do. Not that we did do them, but it felt like there was a lot.
And there is. So if you've never been to a resort before, you will look at the list of activities and you will see a variety of activities from the American side versus the UK side, until you go to Secrets.
Exactly. And you realize what an action-packed day looks like. And again, it's not that we're using all of these, it's the availability. So the way Secrets works is it's every single hour. Every single hour, there's something. They just run from one thing to the next thing to the next thing all day, from I don't know what time, 8, 9 in the morning.
And there's multiple things that are going on at the same time. So like from Pilates, CrossFit, bike tours, snorkeling tours, kayaking, bingo, tequila tasting. So many activities, and even the nighttime schedule, there's so many events going on at night. If you've not experienced Secrets, you'll come here and you'll think this is perfectly fine and acceptable. It's just now we've been to Secrets, you can tell the difference. The thing that I would also note about the activities, there is going to be a bit of a difference depending on what side you're at. So if you're on the Palm side, because there's more people here from the UK, there's actually people to share the activities with. So yesterday we did see a lot of people having fun in the bar with a blackjack tournament, I think it was. But on the American side, so they have a pool with a bar where they run activities, but there's hardly anyone there. So you haven't really got anyone to play with or have fun with.
That's a good point. That actually comes down to the feel and the vibe. The Palm side is way better. It's way better. There's way more going on. It's got a beach you can actually go and swim in, which will come onto the beach in a bit. There's a lot of life here, and it's not that it's overcrowded. You'll see as we go through.
It's really not.
Yeah, it's really not overcrowded. It's really chilled out. But if you want to go to the areas where people congregate, you will find 5 or 6 or 10 people there. The American side, I think the maximum people I've seen is 4.
One of the things I said to Ant straight away as we got to the resort is typically I hate the idea of being at a resort that is super busy, and one of the things I was concerned with Secrets is that it would have been too busy, that you would have been queuing, the restaurants would have been too full, that you couldn't get into the restaurants, which we'll come to in a moment. But I realised I don't like the complete opposite with no one around, and I much preferred, and that's part of that feeling, that I much preferred that vibe that there was at Secrets with the people. We had lots of conversations, we got to know people.
We met lots of people. Even though there is an American side here, you can tell this is a UK tourism resort. I've heard maybe 10 or less Americans, including the group that we bumped into in the wet. We were all waiting for the golf cart to pick us up, but hundreds of English people. And it's so weird to us now because we obviously speak with a British accent, but we don't really hear ourselves, and because we live in the US we only hear Americans, so British accents sound quite comical to me now, and I never thought that would happen. It sounds like, and the thing is, it doesn't apply to your family, because your family somehow bypass an accent. It's just you're used to them. That's how your family. When you hear new people,
So
the British
bizarre.
accent sounds very comical.
It'd be funny for our viewers that watch the channel normally to let us know, since moving to the US, whether you've noticed that as well.
And for me, I now understand why they laugh at us. It is quite, because it sounds jovial, it sounds funny, and it bounces up and down, unlike the American accent, which is quite flat to me. Onto the gym. The gym here used to be two separate gyms. You would have a gym in the Nay Spa, which is very small and overlooks some greenery, and then a gym in the US section, the Seaside Suite
Quite
section.
new at the time.
Yeah, fairly new, or it seemed new to us.
Room,
Yeah. The one at Nay Spa is gone. It's now just a functional area that has Les Mills, Lee Mills.
I think they might run some
classes, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And a huge mirror, but there's no equipment that you can use to work out other than an old cable machine that I don't think gets. So it now appears that it's all in the US Seaside Suite section. Very adequate in terms of the equipment. It's got exactly what you'd need for your legs, for your chest, for your back. It's got a great cable machine set up.
I would say it's a better gym than what's at Secrets Akumal.
Yes.
Definitely overall, in terms of you've got your treadmill, your
Well, I was going to say the bit it's lacking is the fact that the cardio equipment, which is unusual for me to say, but the simple things that I like are a step machine and a good elliptical. The ellipticals in there are not good, they're terrible. They're kind of worn out and they don't do the full cycle, they're very short.
So cardio equipment was actually better at Secrets, but during Secrets they actually swapped out the cardio equipment
and put in two brand new step machines
whilst we were there, and brand new treadmills as well, which were really great. You can sync them to your Apple Watch and everything. But other than that, in terms of the other equipment, gym equipment, lifting weights, cable machines, they've got far more variety and also space. So if you're doing walking lunges, yes, because so many viewers on here are saying, yes, I want us to do walking lunges on holiday. You've actually got space to do. You've got a proper squat rack as well that you can use to do squats. So more variety.
And with that, I really like that it overlooks the ocean and the pool. So when you are on the aerobic equipment, you're overlooking the pool and the ocean, so it's quite nice to be there. Now, if the equipment was better, I'd spend more time looking out, but I do about 5 minutes and then just go to the weight section.
Yeah, and actually, I remember when we used to go years ago, because back then it was so busy. I remember the last two trips we'd been, the overall hotel was busy, so you'd be just watching people partying in front of you in the pool, because you're right by the infinity pool with the bar.
Onto the spa. Normally, we don't really pay for spa, or I wouldn't pay for any spa.
No, I might do a treatment, but usually get my nails done or something like that.
However, because we were considering the hydrotherapy at Secrets, and they said it was $30 or $35 for the session. We ended up not doing that because we had too much to do on that day. When we arrived here, we spoke to one of the people that try and pull you in and sell yourself. Obviously they're tasked with selling, and initially I was like, no, not interested, and he said, oh, you can just do the aquatherapy or hydrotherapy for $75 per person. I was like, that's an outrageous price. TRS is 30 and Secrets, which is a much higher level hotel, is 30. I'm not paying that amount. He said, oh, how about 2 for 1? I was like, no, how about $30 each, which is what we paid? And he said, okay, done. You can always negotiate. He said, would you like to do a massage? Depends on how much. How much did he say initially? He
said it would be about $150 to do the hydrotherapy circuit plus 30 minutes full body massage. And I think then you said you'd be willing to pay $100 for everything. And then I said, no, I think $60 each, so $120. And we landed on $135, I think.
No, $130 in the end. It ended up being one of really reasonable price considering how much massages cost. And the spa experience itself was really nice. The hydrotherapy, I don't want to say aquatherapy, same thing, water. Was really good. So you go through a curated process. So you do a mud and steam room, you then go into a cool room, which is just an AC unit blowing cold air, but you're in there. You then do the heated pool. Yeah, the hydrotherapy pool where you've got jets for your back, your shoulders, your body. We then went into, they have 3 different tubs. So you've got what was supposed to be 108 degrees Fahrenheit, so 42 Celsius. Then it's meant to be room temperature, But just before we got into this, about 10 minutes before, the power dropped out again for the second or third time, and you have to wait for the backup generators. When this happened, it didn't reheat the pool, so it was all cold water coming out.
Which he didn't believe us, because he just said, oh no, it's just because you've been in the hot water that they're not.
We checked with another set of customers, they're like, no, that's freezing. And we have a hot tub at home. We know what 100, well, we have us at 103, and it wasn't even close. So once you do the hot tub, the room temperature tub, you then do a cold plunge, which is below, I think it's about 27 Fahrenheit. To the point it's
down these steps.
It's icy. So we both did it, completed it. Celine didn't want to dunk her head because she claims her hair.
Yeah, I don't want my hair to get.
I did the full dunk, which was kind of fun, nice, well worth the $30.
But I would say the service there was really, really good, and they time everything really well in preparation for the massage, to which we then got ready for the massage and went upstairs. Recommendation is, if you're coming to El Dorado, and you want to, the spa is well worth it. You'll get great service, but what I would say is do not negotiate the price. Do not, and they say it's a starting point. Even the man at the spa said, no, we start at these prices. Some people will just pay the kind of ticket price, right, or whatever you call it.
But if you take what we did, it was $130 for 2 people for the hydrotherapy plus half an hour massage. They did say if we pay another $100, 50 each, we'd get another 20 minutes.
That was at the spa.
But
that's not very.
That was a terrible deal. That's more expensive than the 30 minutes we paid
doing
for.
Another day of the whole thing.
Yeah. Onto the pools. For me, different to a lot of other resorts, it does have quite a few pools, but they're in weird areas.
It's a bit strange. It's either you're on the American side and it's one super large pool around the bar area in front of the beach, or if you go to the Palm side, they're kind of hidden small pools, but really small. And it looks like one of what would be quite a main pool for the Palm side is currently closed under.
Which is good, because once it's done, it's going to be a nice fresh really pool. Nice. But it does take away part of what you want in a pool, because I haven't been encouraged to go to the pool.
What I do think is, if you can book on the American side and you love pools, I would say that's the side to be. And when I've read reviews, people do love the El Dorado side because of that pool area and the bar, Seaside, Sweet Side. So I think I would recommend that, but you also need people. Well, we'll save this more for another video, but I do think more was happening at Secrets, where they had 3 types of pools, going from the most quiet, chilled to the active pool, and you could see everyone was hanging out there.
Having a good time.
And a good mixture of jacuzzi tubs over at Secrets, which I've not noticed jacuzzi tubs here.
Well, yes, we did. There are some jacuzzi tubs, but they belong to rooms.
Okay.
And they're really randomly placed. They're just like one jacuzzi tub outside 2 rooms in the jungle. The beach, very interesting here. Compared to Secrets Akumal and that stretch, no comparison. The Secrets Akumal and Akumal area is so much nicer. The water's nicer. You've got more wildlife. You have the turtles. You can see way more fish. There's very easy access into the ocean and out of the ocean. The way they have their daybed set up is a lot better. Directly in relation to the one here, it's confusing. If you arrive on the American side, at least 50% of it is blocked off by a seawall.
It really confused me, because I thought, no, we've definitely been in the water. Yeah. We thought the beach was really nice, so we continued walking. So what you do have to do is, as we said, the 2 sections on the Palm side is along the stretch of the sea. You have to keep on walking and walk and walk, and eventually
it begins to open up. And it is nice in its own way. If you haven't compared it to a super nice beach, it's very nice. The water is still a really nice colour. It doesn't have full access all the way. We're at the part with the most access, and a lot of it has got sandbags in now, and I don't know if it's to protect.
There's something that's happened.
Yeah, whether there's seaweed or what it is, but they've blocked a lot of it off. So there's really small sections where you can have straight access from the beach, the sand, into the water. What I do think they've done a nice job of, though, is once you're on the beach, the sand is quite nice, and then they've got areas where there's play areas, there's tons of day beds.
I think in terms of what they've done with the beach, yeah you're absolutely right. There's lots more day beds. Unlike with Secrets, where you only have the option to rent a day bed, I think there's no day beds available on the beach.
Right, yeah, they're all
Whereas
rental.
here, there's lots of, and also the upside is, because there's hardly anyone here.
The other part is we've walked quite far down the beach.
Yeah.
And they've got a really nice palmed area. It looks like they've recently done this. And to me, this is quite nice. I like that jungle feel. So there's the jungle and the beach, which to me is a great blend. I don't spend that much time in the seawater.
I prefer the Secrets Akumal beach, but this is still very, very nice. I think anyone coming to the Palms and staying on this side will not complain about the beach area here. It's just the beach isn't as nice as Akumal.
But just to bring in a part about the service, we did just get service, which was 5 minutes ago, but we'd probably been here 30 minutes at that point, longer.
This happened also when we stayed on the beach
Yeah, just before we were leaving, the guy came over, and as a comparison, you can't enter the beach without someone spotting you at Secret. Someone will spot you, greet you, make sure you've got what you need. They'll tell you, I'll be back to take your order. They'll bring you food, whatever food you like, your drinks within minutes.
Here, it's not because the staff aren't necessarily wanting to be attentive. There's less staff here.
Doing more, covering more
area. Covering more areas. So then it's really hard for them to get round to you.
The first comment I had with Secrets was, you can tell whoever's decided to create this resort has taken a lot of time in the training. The training shows, I think, how the people have been trained over at Secrets feels like it's 10 levels above. The customer experience person running Secrets is really taking their job seriously and has an idea of what they want you to feel like. Whereas here it's kind of hit and miss. We went to the restaurant on the beach yesterday. They were not happy. They were not happy to serve us. They just looked at me like, why are you here?
Yeah, we had a really grumpy server. I don't think he wanted to give me food. No. I was convinced. I'm like, can I have this now, please?
And we didn't have even a semi-bad experience with a single person at Secrets. And here we've had a couple.
On to the food. My biggest bugbear with coming to this resort immediately is having to book for the restaurants. Until we got to Secrets, again, and I know we keep saying this, it does make a difference because you realize how different another resort can be. We've been to these resorts before, and I think TRS is the same, and it's quite normal to have to book the a la carte restaurants. Now, Secrets, you didn't have to book. They were a la carte restaurants, and they were at 96% occupancy, and we never had an issue at any time going to a restaurant and getting food when we wanted to, and just picking the restaurants we wanted. When we arrived here, they said you have to book the restaurants. The buffet restaurant is the only one that you don't have to book, otherwise you've got room service. The first day we tried to book, there was pretty much no options.
Was it just 5:30 at the Mexican? Was that the one?
Yeah, that was it. I was like, well, I guess that's the only one we can go to. And then you're forced into a situation on pretty much your first day having to book all your restaurants for that week, knowing exactly what time you want to eat, and you might not get the restaurants you want.
Which for me, again, much like the dress code thing, I don't want to come on holiday and have to pre-decide and think about these things. And then exactly, and you may have had a snack because you're having a good time with a bunch of people and you're eating. You might want to eat later that day. You don't necessarily know. To have this organized thing, to me, is just really off-putting. And like you said, I think the important factor in this is there are resorts offering a different service. So this isn't to say that, oh, this is just bad, but they all do that. You go to Secrets and it's so easy. In terms of the food quality, for me, again, as a comparison to Secrets, it's a big step down. Firstly, a lot of it isn't fresh. We had the beach barbecue yesterday and that was not great. The breakfast has been okay.
I like the breakfast. I think this is where we'll have slightly contrasting opinions. I would say Secrets is better, overall much better, but I have liked all the food in the restaurants here, except I have not liked the food on the beach barbecue.
Whereas for me, it's been good, but not great in the most part. So the restaurants we have eaten at, which was the Mexican and Culinarium.
And Seaside for breakfast.
It's just fine. If I had to rate it out of 10, I would say 7 out of 10. Whereas for me, most of the restaurants at Secrets were 8.5. They were happily, I would pay for
everywhere, even on the beach. So that's the difference, I think.
And all the food was fresh and hot.
Yeah, everything was really
fresh
good.
Chicken every single day. Whatever you wanted was fresh. Here I feel like it may have
lots
been
of pop-ups, lots of different varieties that you can have around the beach. And here they are doing that. Like yesterday we saw they were doing coconut water. It looks like they have pop-up stands. But I also think because they've got far less people, they're not doing it at the same scale as Secrets.
And the other thing that I would say with Secrets is food really was 24/7. So of course in the night you're going to be using the room service. But in the day there were multiple pit stops on each of your walks where you could stop into a coffee shop or a cafe and grab some food. Here it's really awkward to find food and snacks. I'm not finding that I can just walk.
Lobby.
Yeah, you have to go to the lobby and then that's cakes. And then if you want other food, you then have to go to the buffet, which is the furthest building from the buildings that you're staying in. Whereas, yeah, room service, and that's terrible. The room service here is not good at all. Did we have room service in Secret? We didn't need to. It's not great. So what's our conclusion? I still think this is a really good resort, especially for the money, because it's packaged by TUI from the UK. And when you're on the Palm side, it's still lively. It still does have an adequate beach. It's the same water, same sands. The service is still good enough. There's still plenty of activities to do, providing you haven't been to Secrets or a similar type resort.
Exactly, and what's affordable, because for us this was about $500-600 less for the same duration.
Even less than that. I think it's about $800 less for 5 days for the same duration.
So you do have to weigh up whether paying that extra is really worthwhile. And it's interesting because what we did notice at Secrets was lots of large groups choosing to go there, and it was clearly a very popular
or a
place.
birthday every day.
Yeah, all the time. So it seems to be very popular for that. Whereas here, I think you still can get very good value for money.
If you've been to these other places, I think you'll be somewhat disappointed if you've been to the Secrets level, because that's how I feel truly.
And I would say the same for TRS, even though we weren't super happy with what we see with TRS. You pay quite a lot, so therefore you expect a lot, and they didn't quite meet the expectations. Second time round. First time round it was perfect. And I think if you're used to that level of service, you will be disappointed, but it's pretty much you get what you paid for. So I think for each of the resorts you do get what you're paying for.
For me now, it's an extra $800 for 5 days. So let's say 7 days, you're going to spend an extra $1,000. Would I pay that? Absolutely. Every single time I would return to Secrets or something similar for an extra $1,000 for a week. It's worth that money for us, I would say.
And I would agree. I think now I wouldn't choose to come back to El Dorado, but I would choose to go back to Secrets Akumal. Hope you've enjoyed watching this video. Thanks for watching.